Good afternoon, everybody. It's so nice to see your faces. I'm Beth. My name's been Elizabeth Worthington for a lot of years now, but when I'm at camp, I'm Beth. I'm glad Sherm did Vespers last week, first because he did such a great job, and second because it'll cut down on my need to do a lot of introductions since his and my trajectories at camp were very similar. I also started at Coniston in 1972 as a camper. I was a CIT with Sherm in 1977, and we were CIT directors together in 1984. I taught tennis. I was Midler Division leader, chapel director. You can see behind me, I'll get back to that. Girls camp director. And after 16 years at camp, I was on the board for a while, and I've done alumni engagement and program planning since that time. So that puts me in the Sanders era, and it is my great honor to have Mr. Sanders in the audience this afternoon. It means the world to me. Bob was an important mentor of mine. He taught me an awful lot about leadership. And Irma Sanders, I worked with closely in the office, and she was a pillar of strength and warmth. A highlight of my Coniston association really was last year when Sherm and I were able to put together a program plan for the unveiling of the boathouse and the Sanders Leadership Center. I think you all know the spectacular job that the camp team did on rehabilitating that building into what it is today. And to have it, the Leadership Center, named in honor of the Sanders was a well-deserved and meaningful tribute. We had the ribbon cutting last summer along with the memorial for Irma, and a really fun reunion. And I'd like to echo something that Sherm said last week. It's a privilege to be part of the Sanders era. And it's also a privilege to have the importance of those years, the history and those traditions so strongly and warmly respected today by John Tilley and his team. It means an awful lot. It really means an awful lot to me. And I'm grateful to be a part of today's Vespers. It's an example of how strongly they value the Coniston community, which is all of us, whether we were there so many years ago, like I was in the 1970s, or whether last summer was your first summer. It's all of us. And my Vespers theme today is about how we can carry that Coniston community in our hearts during difficult times. I'd like to acknowledge those of you who are having difficulty over these last several weeks. It's okay to be sad about what we're missing, the things that are important to us, whether it's school or college or the workplace. And, you know, we're supposed to look for lessons or, you know, blessings in disguise to help us understand what we're supposed to learn through this difficulty. And sometimes we sort of know what those are in the moment. Like for me, I know probably going forward, I'm going to be a lot more careful about my food resources and my paper resources. I'm a lot more mindful about how I use things. And I think that will last going forward. So that's something I know now. But I think there'll be other lessons that I'll learn in hindsight that might help me understand what I can bring forward out of these times when things haven't really gone the way I planned. And I've got a story about that from camp that I'll share with you. It's from the years when I was working in the office with Irma, and I decided to go on a solo overnight. And that was a little unusual, but I worked with Camp Craft, and I got my stuff, and I went out to Boys Lean-To by myself. And I guess the word had gotten around camp that I was doing that. I didn't really understand that piece of it, because as I was, you know, I finished my dinner and I was sitting down, and I think I was going to just write in my journal and have some quiet time and alone time. And the camp back then had an old motorboat. We called it the putt-putt. And I started hearing the putt-putt coming toward me. And it's coming toward me, and it's coming toward me. And I look out, and it's Sherm. And he's in the putt-putt. And he yells out, "Beth, are you okay?" And I was like, "Well, yeah." He's like, "Do you need anything?" I was like, "No, I'm good." He's like, "Do you want me to check back later?" I was like, "No, really, I'm quiet time. Just I'll be fine." So he leaves. And a few minutes later, I hear these footsteps running toward me down the path. It's Al Crop. And he says, "My cabin's out at the Flume on our overnight. I just wanted to check in. Are you okay?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm good." "Do you need anything?" I was like, "No, it's my alone time. You know, this is my quiet time. I'm fine." He's like, "Well, if you need anything, let me know. Do you want me to check back later?" I was like, No, I'm good." And then I swear from across the lake, and it's either Action or Howie or somebody's yelling, "Beth, Beth." And so in my quiet time, I have to yell, "What?" It's like, and you know what it is? "Are you okay?" But yes. "Do you need anything?" No. So that was kind of my quiet time. And it's now dark, and I decide I just gonna go to sleep. And this was a whole disaster. And I'm thinking, boy, that didn't go at all how I planned. And then when I think back on that, I think, boy, that was my problem, you know, to have any sort of expectations that I was going to get alone time or quiet time at Coniston, right? I mean, that's not what Coniston is. That's the opposite of what Coniston is. We're a community. We love each other. We need each other. We check in on each other. And that message really resonates with me now in these last few months, and not just the last few months and weeks, but I had a kind of tough year last year. And guess what? It was those exact same people, the exact same voices, asking me the exact same thing with my other friends, but my camp friends. "Beth, are you okay? Do you need anything? I'll check back later." And what a miracle, you know, that is to me, to have those same people still in my life, still checking in on me, you know, whether we're at camp or not, whether it's the 1980s or not. We love each other. We need each other. We check in on each other. That's what the Coniston community is. That's what the Coniston family is. And I carry that in my heart. I'd also like to share with you a story that's about this chapel ring behind me. When I was at camp, we called what's now the girls' Vespers ring, we called that the girls' chapel ring. And that's where we had Sunday chapel. And when I was chapel director, I would get there early, a few minutes, and because you're never going to believe this, but I had to lug a record player down to the chapel ring. I had to plug it in with an extension cord up at Lady Slipper Cottage, where John McNair lives now. And I used to like that couple of minutes because I could look out at the lake and see the sun on the water, and I could smell the pine trees, and I could hear the voices and the laughter of the campers and staff as they got closer to chapel ring. And they would shuffle in, you know, with their sleepy smiles and jostle each other for their places on the bench. And we would share some quiet poetry and music for 20 minutes or half an hour. And those moments are really special to me. And so what I've been doing lately as I go to sleep at night, I bring myself back to the chapel ring. I bring myself back to those moments of quiet, of contemplation, because I'm not exactly sure of all the lessons I'm supposed to be learning right now. But I think if I quiet my body and my mind and my soul, that maybe some of those blessings will come in. And, you know, there's a lot to be anxious about. And what I was anxious about yesterday is not what I'm anxious about today. And I think it takes a purposeful moment of quiet to see if we can balance out the day and hear what we have to learn. At Vespers, we're asked to take some moments to think about people who have loved us and who have shaped us into who we are. And so we're going to take a couple of minutes and think about people. I'd like to have you think about some camp people who were meaningful to you, who shaped you into who you are. Also think about places at camp that are special to you, and maybe some moments at camp that were formative or foundational for you that helped you see who you are or how you view the world. So let's take a few moments to think about those things. And I'd like you to think about what you might reflect on tonight as you go to sleep. Well, in the spirit of Sunday Chapel, I'll leave you with a poem and some music, but I want you to know that I have faith that there are better days ahead, and I have faith that hindsight will teach us lessons about what we're going through now that will make the world a better place. And I hope you can reflect on that as well. So I'm going to read you some lines from the poem, The Weaver. Not till the loom is silent and the shuttles cease to fly will God unroll the canvas and explain the reasons why. The dark threads are as needful in the weaver's skillful hand as the threads of gold and silver in the pattern he has planned. I love you. I know that you love each other, you need each other, and you'll check in on each other. If you're doing your best, you're doing great. Have a good weekend.
When the night has come and the land is dark and the moon is the only light we'll see. No, I won't be afraid. Oh, I won't be afraid. Just as long as you stand by me. So darling, stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Stand by me. If the sky that we look upon should tumble and fall, or the mountain should crumble to the sea, I won't cry, no, I won't shed a tear, just as long as you stand by me. And darling, stand by me, oh, stand by me, oh, stand now, stand by me, stand by me. Stand by me, stand by me. Whenever you're in trouble, won't you stand?